while rewatching The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya with my friend Patrick, in the middle, there's a moment where our protagonist Kion goes to Yuki Nagato's apartment, and during this, Patrick pointed out that the layout of this place was very weird. He realized that there was more than what we were seeing, and he was pointing out all these different things like, what? There's a room there? So I decided to go home and figure out the layout of Yuki Nagato's apartment in the show Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Fans in the past have actually figured out that this building that Nagato lives in is in fact a real building. In real life, it's in the middle between Osaka and Kobe. In the show, we learned that Nagato lives on the 7th floor in apartment 708. Through the different scenes that we see, we can figure out that this is actually the top floor, while in real life it looks like it's more than 7 floors. As we continue with the video, you'll begin to see in a lot of different ways how the artists take creative liberties. As we open the front door, we immediately see a long hallway. And what's that? 2 doors? What? So these are 2 doors we never see opened. And the only conclusion I've come up with that makes sense, the door on the right has to be a bathroom, and the door on the left has to be a closet. All the rooms that we've been able to see have never been a bathroom, so to me it makes sense that this room might be a restroom. And then the other door has to be a closet because why else is there a mirror right next to a door? It would only make sense to store clothes, a jacket, shoes, whatever, and a mirror right next to it so that you can see what you look like right when you leave. As we continue down the hallway, we see an interesting hole in the wall. It's for artistic reasons. Not only that, but there's 2 directions to go down. In the show, we always go to the right, which leads to that living room that we always see with a table. But not only that, but the direction that the characters take when they're going to the living room is very interesting. In this scene that we see Nagato picking up the phone, we see that this hallway actually has a twist. But not only that, there's a door. Oh, but getting a better look, there's actually 2 doors. There's quite a few rooms that these could be. First, it could be 2 bedrooms, or it's 1 bedroom with a closet for the other room, but I think it's time we mention the elephant in the room, the disappearance of Nagato Yuki-chan. In this spin-off series, I don't know what would be considered canon, but it does give us some ideas of what might be in her apartment. In the spin-off series, we actually get to see Nagato's bedroom, but also a washing machine? There's a whole room with a washing machine. So if we go off the idea that the spin-off is right in some areas, I think this is one of the areas that is right. Or at least it makes sense with the story I was creating, where one of the doors in the twist of the hallway has to be a bedroom. The other, I thought one was a closet, but that might be the room with the washing machine. Unless there happens to be a room in between the time we go from the front door to the left hallway. And that's when the weirdest thing from the spin-off series comes into play. There's this scene that looks like it may be in between the hallway from the front door, where there's 2 doors. In specific scenes, we get a glimpse of what the other hallway looks like. It's not much, but there is something there. In the disappearance of Nagato Yuki-chan, we get to see Nagato's kitchen. I can only think that it belongs on the left side of the left room in the left hall. Lots of left turns. But to me it makes sense because Asakura, anytime she says that she's going to be cooking something for Nagato, she takes a left turn.
I'll get a nice breakfast ready for us. You go wash your face. Okay.
I believe the right door of this interesting shot is her kitchen, and the left door is her bedroom? If that's the case, what's this other room? Now this whole thing is very confusing to me. It already was pretty confusing, but now I don't even know what room is what. Let's head back over to the living room. Oh, what's this? Another bedroom? Yeah. This is one that we see quite often in the show. Sometimes it's very empty like in the movie, or other times there's futons on the ground. On the other side of this living room is 2 windows. At first, I couldn't really tell what they were supposed to be, because in the first season, it's not really easy to tell what it really was trying to be, but thanks to the other Nagato in the spin-off series, The Disappearance of Nagato Yuki-chan, she actually put up some blinds for us. We're thankfully able to understand that these are windows and not mirrors or anything else. On the side facing down the hall, we see a phone, a light switch, and I'm assuming a thermostat to change the temperature. On the opposite side of this room, we see a big open window. Outside this window is quite the decent balcony. There isn't much on this balcony other than some slippers, but what's very interesting is when we look up. When we look up, there's so much more. Not only does the wall continue up, but there's another window? And this is when things get a little bit confusing. Sometimes it looks like the window just ends and there's nothing else up there, but the other half of the time it looks like the window extends and there's a railing, indicating that there's perhaps a second floor sometimes. And then it all becomes really clear once we watch the third episode of The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, where we get this really trippy scene, and oh my god, what is that? Dude, we see everything. We clearly see that there's a second floor, and while yes, we don't really see how to get up there or much else other than there is a second floor, I'm taking this. This is awesome. When looking outside from the front door, it's clearly the top floor. But then there's a second floor. In some ways, this makes sense as the building it was referenced off of has more than 7 floors. But this is what I mean when I say the artist took a lot of creative liberties. Sometimes there's a second floor, but then other times there's skylights, so a ceiling window, or whatever these random rectangles are on the ceiling. But just for the video's sake, I'm gonna run with the idea that there's 2 floors. 1, I think it's cool, and 2, it makes sense in my mind if we talk about the Endless 8. In quite a few Endless 8 episodes, our main cast goes onto Nagato's balcony, but that's not the balcony that we know that's by the living room. Plus, the window doesn't match the window that's in the living room. And they don't match the windows that are in the other hallway room that we don't really get to see all too much. And this is where this can become even more confusing. So I decided to recreate her apartment in Roblox. Yes, in Roblox Studio. Now, it's not all one-to-one because I was trying to make a visual example, and I'm not one that does any architecture or anything like that, so go easy on me. If we think about the idea that there's just 1 floor, then this has to be one of the rooms that is in the twist of the hallway that goes to the living room. If we think about it just being 1 floor, where else would this fit? And 2, there's no other windows that we see that are present, so I can't imagine this being anywhere on the first floor. And plus, if we look at the Endless 8, we can see the roof of the building. So I have a lot of reason to believe this is on the second floor. There's a couple areas this balcony could be, but to get there, we gotta go upstairs, because I believe it's upstairs. I've thought of 2 situations that could be where the staircases are. Either it's in the left hallway in the corner, with a spiral going all the way up, or when you're walking in on the right wall, it's right up there. And then there's 2 areas I believe that this balcony could be at. First, when coming up the stairs, at this end of the hallway, I believe there's 1 balcony here. To me, this one makes more sense than the other one I'm about to show, but here you got a lot of room with also the walls giving you enough space to have a lot of balcony. But then if we continue down the hall, and where I placed this room was above the living room, who knows if there's a room here, and quickly I will add that there is a skylight a lot of the time in the living room, but like half the time it's not there, so I didn't decide to add it there, but let's just say that there is a room here. Maybe the balcony could be here as well. But other than these 2 areas, I don't know where else a balcony could be. When modeling out Nagato's apartment, there's quite a few things that I realized when doing so. Her bedroom placement in Nagato Yuki-chan makes no sense. First of all, it contradicts with the room that I believe to be a bathroom by the entrance. Not only that, but there was a scene showing the window from the outside, and it did not look like the walkway outside of their apartment. And was that another window? So this closet would have to have a window? Or at least I would believe that is a closet, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's another full-on room that has a lot of stuff inside of it. But again, this would contradict the kitchen that we saw in the spin-off series. I realize that my proportions are pretty off when it comes to the living room, but I'm just saying, if her bedroom was in the original area I believed it was at, then it looks like it would be pretty skinny. And also the room with the washing machine, that might be a bathroom, because what else is this door right there? I would assume that it's a bathroom. There is a sink right outside of that, so just maybe. Something that I noticed in the spin-off series, the skinny windows in the living room have handles. Like they can be opened. Would they just prop open to let some air in? I don't know. But again, it is a spin-off, so anything that I've said about this spin-off series may be incorrect or could just be written off, because maybe it's non-canon. More than likely not, but hey, it's fun to think about. Oh, and also the balcony by the living room does have a couple things changed in the spin-off, but again, it's a spin-off, so you can just write that off if you want, I guess. But yeah, that's about all that I've figured out about this apartment. I never read the light novels or the manga, so there might be some things in there that are just not in the anime. Let me know what you think about this video. What do you think about her apartment? Do you think it's interesting? Do you think it's strange? I believe it is. That's why I made this whole video, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is actually my first video on this channel, so I would appreciate it if you gave it some love, but you know, it's new, so who knows who all would be seeing this. My Roblox recreation will be available, so those that care for it somehow, feel free to play that. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day.